Hi, it's Anika from Living for Later. So, I have a family of eight, a husband, and six children, and myself, of course. And eating healthy is pretty important to me. But as we know, to be able to eat healthy, there's a lot of prep work that's required. So, today I'm just here to show you some quick tips of what I do, some plan ahead tips to kind of help us to eat. Healthy throughout the week. So the first thing is on this cutting board, I have some mushrooms and onions. And what I typically do is I get my mushrooms from like Trader Joe's, kind of chop it up, and I'll saute that along with the onions, probably for about 15 minutes in my skillet. And then once it's cool, I'll store it in like a mason jar in the refrigerator or in the freezer, depending on when I plan to use it in the week. And what I really love about this is that sometimes you cook meats and it just dries out because you forget it's in the oven or something happens. So I always like to have some sauteed vegetables on hand, just because it just seems to just change any meal around. So if I happen to dry out the chicken breast or have some ground meats laying around, I tend to sprinkle this on top. And it's just nice because that's 15 minutes of work that I don't have to do. And when you freeze it, it doesn't really alter the taste. So again, sauteing your vegetables, and my base is typically the onions and the mushrooms, but you can mix in garlic, whatever it is that you would like, and just freeze it. The next thing that I do is I try to wash my lettuce ahead of time, because that's the worst when you want to do a salad for dinner. You're just like, I don't want to go through the process of washing the lettuce and drying it and cutting it. So what I do at the beginning of the week is I just wash it, put it in the little salad spinner or whatever, and then store it in the mason jar. And what's really nice is that it stays fresh for quite some time in the mason jar. And sometimes I'll cut up cucumbers ahead of time, store them in their own separate mason jar. So when it's time for dinner, I'm not, just so exhausted that I can't put a salad together. It's already washed and prepared. The next thing that I do is I try to make my sauces at the beginning of the week. I tend to make most of my sauces, not all, but most of them. And like right here, I'll typically do my mayo ahead of time, and that lasts a few days in the refrigerator. So this just kind of helps. Again, the prep work is out of the way, and my two older children, they kind of jump in and they can do some of the prep work with me. So if we're having burgers or something for dinner, I don't have to worry about going through the process of making the sauce if that's a sauce that I want. The next thing that I do, which is a really great tip, is when I go shopping, I don't always do this, but when I do, I'm always thankful that I do it. When I go shopping, is I'll try to season my meats ahead of time, and then I'll store them in the freezer. So like this is some curry chicken that I made today, and I just seasoned it, and it's a lot of meat, obviously, because we have a large family. Again, we're a family of eight, and I just stuck all the seasoning in there, rubbed them around, and then I'm going to stick this in the freezer. And what's really nice is I'm probably going to use this on Sunday, and right now it's Wednesday, so it's going to have quite a few days of just the seasonings getting in there. And truly, this takes just a few minutes to do, probably like 5 to 10 minutes for me to do all of this. Cut up my onions, whatever it is that I'm doing, stick it in the Ziploc bag. This is a 2-gallon Ziploc bag that I bought from the dollar store. Stick it in the freezer, and if I choose not to cook it on Sunday, that's okay, because hey, later on next week, if I'm looking for something and I'm in a pinch, take this out of the freezer, stick it in the oven, and I'm good to go. The next thing that I do is we do a lot of sweet potatoes in our house. It just helps, but they take such a long time to prepare. So what I typically do is we get our sweet potatoes from the store, and I'll have either myself or one of the two older children. They'll kind of prep the sweet potatoes, and we pop them in the oven for them to bake. And once they're baked, you can just stick them in a Tupperware, stick it in the refrigerator, And when, you know, midweek we're looking for an additional side, I don't have to stress about, oh my goodness, I have to stick the sweet potatoes in the oven for 2 hours for them to get the way I like them. It's already prepared. And the nice thing is you can also freeze these sweet potatoes. If you go to my blog, you can just look up how I prepare my sweet potatoes for them to be super sweet, nothing needed. Um, the final thing that I have here is, again, I make a lot of sauces, and lemons seem to be like a base. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of squeeze my lemons, get the juice at the beginning of the week, because again, when I'm in the process of preparing, I don't want to really stop. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of squeeze the lemon, get the juice out of it, and I put them in these small mason jars. And what's really nice is that I've learned that you can freeze them, right? So as opposed to going to the store and buying these lemon juice that's kind of diluted or whatever, I just squeeze a fresh lemon, put it in the mason jar, freeze it, and sometimes I'll do even 2 bags of lemon if I'm using my electric juicer, and stick them in the mason jars and just let them defrost when I need them, thaw out when I need them, and I'm good to go. So again, these are just some quick tips. Leave me a comment below to let me know if they're helpful, and feel free to share with me some of the tips that you use to kind of help you to prepare ahead so that you can eat healthy. All right, thanks a lot. Be blessed.